A cat's trust physically changes your brain, and the science behind why is stranger, deeper, and more consequential than anyone has told you. Right now, across thousands of homes, something is happening that neuroscience is only beginning to map. Humans bonding with felines are undergoing measurable neurochemical and structural shifts inside their own skulls. This is not metaphor. This is biology. And if you have ever felt inexplicably calm the moment your cat settled beside you, your body already knows what researchers are now confirming. Stay until the end. There is a behavioral test waiting that will reveal something specific about the level of trust your cat has extended to you. Here is the myth we have to bury first. For generations, cats have been labeled as cold, aloof, self-serving, a creature that tolerates you the way a commuter tolerates a delayed train, with quiet resignation and no real attachment. That story is wrong. Not slightly wrong. Fundamentally, evolutionarily, neurologically wrong. Ethologists studying the domestic cat have traced its lineage back roughly 10,000 years to the Near Eastern wildcat, a solitary predator with zero need for social bonding. And yet something happened. Something that defies the clean logic of pure survival. Cats chose proximity. Not because humans forced them, because the bond offered something their nervous systems recognized as valuable. That is the real mystery. Not whether your cat loves you, but why love, across two completely different species, produces identical chemical signatures in both brains simultaneously. Your cat's body is running ancient software. 40 million years of predator evolution packed into a creature that weighs, on average, 10 pounds. And that creature is choosing to fall asleep on your chest. Think about what that actually means. In the wild, the most dangerous moment for any predator is the moment it loses vigilance. The moment it closes its eyes, drops its guard, and trusts that the environment is safe. Your cat is doing that. On you. The physiology of that decision is not sentimental. It is a nervous system assessment. Here is what most people miss. The autonomic nervous system, the part of the body that manages threat responses, does not operate in isolation. It reads the environment through something researchers call co-regulation. When two organisms spend extended time in close proximity, their nervous systems begin to synchronize. Heart rate variability, breath rhythm, even cortisol pulses start to mirror each other. This has been documented in human mother-infant pairs for decades. What is newer and genuinely startling is that the same synchrony appears between cats and their primary caregivers. Two species, two entirely separate evolutionary lineages, one shared biological rhythm. So why your lap and not someone else's? That is not random selection. That is a cognitive filtering process. Research on feline attachment shows that cats actively categorize humans by behavioral consistency. The pitch of your voice, the predictability of your movements, your scent profile, and your response latency when they signal discomfort. Studies measuring oxytocin in cats during owner-initiated versus cat-initiated contact found a striking pattern. When cats chose to approach and the interaction was cat-led, lap-sitting, nudging, proximity-seeking, oxytocin levels rose steadily across the session. When the interaction was forced, even with gentle owners, oxytocin in avoidant cats flatlined. Your cat did not pick you by accident. They ran a biological cost-benefit analysis across dozens of interactions, and you passed. Stop and absorb that. Now add the third variable, the purr. Most people assume the purr is simply a contentment signal. It is not. Or rather, it is not only that. The purr operates within a frequency band of 25 to 150 Hz. Within that band, 25 to 50 Hz specifically aligns with therapeutic frequencies that have been used in clinical settings to stimulate bone density, accelerate fracture repair, and reduce inflammation. Cats have been documented purring during stress and injury, not just during contentment. Bioacoustic researchers have proposed that the purr functions as a low-cost self-maintenance mechanism. The cat is, quite literally, running an internal physiotherapy session using nothing but its own laryngeal muscles. And that frequency is washing over your body every time they purr against your skin. What is happening inside you during those moments is not just comfort. It is acoustic biology operating below the level of conscious awareness. If that does not make you see your cat differently, nothing will. Tell us in the comments, what is your cat's name and how old are they? We want to know who is sharing this science with you right now. Attachment theory was built on infants. It was never supposed to apply to cats. John Bowlby's foundational framework described the secure base effect as a bond in which one organism uses another as a psychological anchor, a fixed point from which to explore the world and to which it retreats under threat. For decades, this concept was reserved for human caregiving relationships. Then researchers began testing it on cats. What they found upended the assumption that feline social cognition was too primitive for true attachment. In attachment classification studies using modified versions of the infant caregiver ethogram, domestic cats placed with their primary caregivers showed statistically significant secure attachment patterns. 65% of cats in one Oregon State University study were classified as securely attached, a figure remarkably close to human infant populations. Securely attached cats used their owner as a safe haven under stress, explored more freely when the owner was present, and showed distinct distress behaviors upon separation. This is not loyalty born of food dependence. This is neurological architecture. The same wiring that bonds a child to a parent, expressing itself across the species barrier. Here is where the cortisol story becomes urgent. Cortisol is your body's primary stress hormone. In short bursts, it is useful. Chronically elevated, it accelerates cellular aging, impairs immune function, disrupts sleep architecture, and contributes to cardiovascular disease. Your cat is not decorative. Your cat is pharmaceutical. Research on human-animal interaction consistently shows cortisol suppression during positive cat contact, not as a placebo effect, not as relaxation alone, but as a measurable hormonal shift. The parasympathetic nervous system activates. The vagus nerve, which runs from your brainstem through your heart and gut, begins signaling safety. Your inflammatory markers drop. And this happens within minutes of genuine, consensual contact. If you find this fascinating, give this video a like right now. Someone else needs to know this. The dopamine layer is where it gets psychologically precise. Dopamine is the brain's anticipation and reward chemical. It is released not when you receive something good, but when you expect to. Conditional love, the kind that is always available, always predictable, actually dulls dopamine response over time. The brain habituates. It stops firing with enthusiasm because the reward is guaranteed. But earned affection, the kind your cat dispenses selectively, unpredictably, on their own terms, keeps the dopamine system primed. Every time your cat chooses to come to you, the reward circuit fires with disproportionate intensity. Not because cats are manipulative, because rarity and volition are neurologically significant. You are not just receiving affection, you are receiving a signal that you, specifically, were chosen from all available options. That signal registers in the brain's social valuation network like a small, repeated victory. The brain does not treat all social relationships equally. There is a structure deep in the prefrontal cortex, the medial prefrontal cortex, that is specifically activated during interactions with individuals who are perceived as rare, selective, or high-status social partners. Neuroscientists call this social privilege processing. It is the same circuit that lights up when a person you admire acknowledges you in a crowd. Your brain registers it as a status event. And this is precisely the circuit your cat activates every single time they choose you over an empty room. The social brain is wired to care deeply about who picks you. Cats, by their very nature, selective, unhurried, impossible to bribe with pure performance, become uniquely powerful activators of that circuit. You cannot fake your way into feline trust. The brain knows that, and it responds accordingly. Now, the double loop. Oxytocin is often discussed as a one-directional transaction. The human releases it, feels bonded, moves on. But the actual mechanism is bidirectional. When your cat engages in cat-initiated contact and your oxytocin rises, your behavioral output changes. Your voice softens. Your touch slows. Your gaze becomes less direct, less threatening. The cat's nervous system reads those microsignals as safety cues. Their own oxytocin rises in response, which in turn deepens their approach behavior, which triggers another wave in you. This is not metaphor. This is a documented neurochemical loop cycling between two organisms simultaneously. Studies specifically measuring oxytocin in both cats and owners during home interaction sessions confirmed that mutual engagement, not one-sided cuddling, was the condition under which both parties showed the strongest hormonal response. Watch what happens the next time your cat nudges your hand unprompted. They are not asking for food. They are initiating the loop. Here is the instinct underneath all of it. Cats are allo-grooming species. They groom other cats they are bonded to as a trust signal and a social cementing behavior. When a cat headbutts you, a behavior ethologists call bunting, they are depositing facial pheromones from glands around their cheeks and forehead. They are, in the language of evolutionary biology, scent marking you as part of their social group, not as property, as family. The distinction matters. Property is claimed out of insecurity. Family is claimed out of affiliation. And a cat that bunts you regularly is telling every sensory system they own, this being is within my circle of safety. That is not a small thing. That is the highest social classification a solitary predator can offer another living creature. Close your eyes and picture this. You are reading at night. The lamp is low. Your cat walks in, surveys the room that is already safe, already familiar, and still chooses the square foot of space directly against your leg, not the cushion, not the warm patch on the floor near the radiator. You. That moment has a biological name: proximity seeking under low-threat conditions. It is one of the 3 behavioral markers used to classify secure attachment in feline ethograms. The cat is not cold. The cat is not indifferent. The cat is expressing the deepest form of feline social trust, choosing your presence when they have every environmental freedom not to. Most owners miss this because it looks like nothing. It looks like a cat lying down. What it actually is a nervous system saying, "You are my anchor." The slow blink is not a trick. This bears clarification because the internet has turned the slow blink into a performance, a thing you do at your cat to make them like you. Sustained direct eye contact in feline communication is a threat display, a hard biological fact documented across species of wild felid from the cheetah to the domestic tabby. It signals dominance, challenge, potential aggression. When a cat makes eye contact with you and then slowly, deliberately narrows and closes their eyes, they are doing something extraordinary. They are voluntarily disabling their primary vigilance mechanism in your presence. They are demonstrating through an act of biological vulnerability that they do not perceive you as a threat. Not just that they like you, that they are physiologically safe with you. The difference between those two things is enormous. Here is what the long-term data shows. Chronic, positive human-cat bonding does not merely produce pleasant neurochemical moments. Over time, months, years, sustained oxytocin release and cortisol suppression contribute to measurable changes in brain structure. The prefrontal cortex, which manages emotional regulation and social cognition, shows increased connectivity in individuals with strong human-animal bonds. The amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, shows reduced reactivity. Your brain is literally being reshaped by the accumulated trust of a creature that weighs 10 pounds and asks for nothing more than safety, food, and the occasional uninterrupted nap. The therapeutic frequency of the Purr, 25 to 150 Hz, reduces perceived pain, lowers blood pressure, and has been associated with decreased rates of heart attack in cat owners. This is not wellness culture. This is acoustic biology meeting cardiovascular medicine. Your cat is not just good for your mood. They may be extending your life. You are their chosen family, not their default companion, not the person who opens the food cabinet, their chosen family. Behaviorists define family in functional terms: the organism whose presence reduces physiological threat responses, activates reward circuits, and triggers proximity seeking under conditions of stress. By every one of those definitions, if your cat seeks you when the thunder is loud, when the visitor is strange, when the night is unsettled, you are family. And that choice was made not once, but thousands of times, in every slow blink, in every bunting press against your ankle, in every moment they closed their eyes against your leg when the room was perfectly safe, and they came to you anyway. That trust deserves to be honored, practically, consistently. Respecting the cat's initiation, never forcing contact, keeps the oxytocin loop intact. Responding to their communication attempts, even the small ones, the trill at the door, the slow blink from across the room, the tail raised in greeting. These are not random behaviors. They are a language. And every time you respond accurately, the bond deepens, the neurochemical exchange grows richer, and the structural changes in both your brains compound. If this science has changed how you see your cat, subscribe now. New behavioral science told this way every week. The behavioral test as promised. Today, within the next hour if possible, find a quiet moment with your cat. Sit near them, not over them. Relax your shoulders. Let your gaze fall on them softly, without intensity. When they look at you, blink slowly. Not quickly, not dramatically. Slowly, the way you would if you were almost falling asleep. Then wait. What you are offering them is a vulnerability signal, the same gesture they use to tell you they are safe. If your cat blinks back, you have just exchanged the deepest non-verbal communication two different species can share. You are telling each other, in the language of the nervous system, I see you, I trust you, I am not afraid. That is not a trick. That is biology. That is 10,000 years of coevolution arriving in a single quiet moment between you and a creature that had every reason to stay wild and chose instead to come home to you. We will see you in the next one.